said, we are ending today on a very high note. We've got Dana White. Of course, we wish he was with us here in New York, but it's great to have you virtually. Dana, can you hear me okay? It's Abe. Can you get me? Give us a minute while we sort this out. Dana, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yeah, how are you?
I'm good, buddy. How are you? Thanks for joining us.
I'm good.
We got a full room here in New York. Everyone ask questions at any time. I've got the iPad here. Dana's gracious with his time. Dana, I want to start with Saturday night. It's been quite a run here for you. What were your takeaways from MSG and Saturday night?
Yeah, it was a good night. You know, obviously the card was really good from top to bottom. But at the end of the day, what has to deliver is the co-main and main event, and they absolutely delivered. So it was a good night. We right now, when you think about how hard it was for us to get into New York, we are 7 of the top 10 all-time gates at Madison Square Garden. So it's been awesome.
That's got to be pretty gratifying because you're right. It took you a while to get into this state.
Yeah, it's very gratifying. Believe me.
You know, Dana, we've been talking about media and media rights all day here in New York. Your media rights are coming up very soon. You've been with ESPN since 2019. Your deal ends in 25. Give us a lay of the land of how you see your next media rights deal unfolding.
Yeah, it's interesting as you start to see these streaming services pop up. And I've been saying this for a while. When I grew up, it was Channel 3, Channel 5, Channel 8, and Channel 13. Then we ended up with cable. When I was in high school, it was 33 channels or something like that. And now we're at a place where when you look at our business, right, what's the ceiling on our business? So we have the right fight and the right place at the right time. The answer to that question is 8 billion people. 8 billion people. And now, you know, Lorenzo and I, when we first got into this, we used to dream about a day where everybody could watch the same fight on the same channel at the same time. And that's happening over the next several years. I don't know who the players are going to end up being. But, you know, is it going to be Amazon? Is it going to be YouTube? Is it going to be Disney? But there's going to be, you know, Channel 3, Channel 5, Channel 8, and Channel 13 globally here in the next several years. My rights are up the end of 25. I have a really good relationship with ESPN.
Yep.
We've sort of caught our stride, and I've been happy with the relationship. So we'll see how this thing plays out.
You seem to be looking at both distribution, reach, but also revenue, because there's a lot of people in the marketplace who feel your rights are very undervalued.
I would agree with that. You know, it's been we started on Spike TV, and then we graduated from there to Fox. Then we went to ESPN, and I feel like the UFC has finally caught its stride. You know, as we've grown the sport over the years. I mean, we're in 170 countries right now. I could get fighters from anywhere. We're the biggest pay-per-view provider on the planet. And I think we're gonna do very well going into this next deal.
A lot of conversations here today, Dana, about Friday night and Jake Paul, Mike Tyson, and Netflix, and the performance of Netflix in delivering mass audience. What did you take away from Friday night?
I always believed in it. I always thought that Netflix was crazy not to get into live sports sooner than they did. You know, those guys truly have a global footprint, and you know, I think they're late to the game, but it was a big success.
But the performance of the broadcast, did that give you pause to do business with Netflix at all?
No, I thought it was. I actually thought it was smart of them to do. You know. Listen, I'm not going to, I didn't think the event was a great event, but they needed to do that. They needed to bring in, they knew Mike Tyson was going to bring in big numbers. Mike Tyson was going to pull a big number, and this was a good test for them before they start airing the NFL. I mean, when you have, they're saying it was like over 65 million people tuning in at the same time. I was in a hotel room in New York, and I didn't have a bad experience. You know, it was a little grainy here and there, but I didn't have a horrible experience. I know I've seen some other people say they did, but I didn't.
I've been with you in your office in Vegas. I see this global map behind you, Dana. As you look at growing the UFC, what pockets, what parts of the world do you see the biggest opportunity for growth in your sport?
Well, it's always star-driven. You know, we got a guy right now, Ilia Topuria, who is our featherweight champion, you know, and he's big in Spain. We've never been to Spain, so we're going to go to Spain. I just opened a Performance Institute down in Mexico, cultivating lots of Mexican talent down there right now. Mexico's going to be big for us over the next several years. I'm looking to go into Africa for the first time. We have a champion from South Africa. So I'm looking to go everywhere. Everywhere on this planet, we're going to end up doing a live event. I've taken some criticism over the last couple of years for not traveling my fight nights as much as I used to because I built the Apex next door. But I had reasons for that. We're going to start going into cities that we haven't been to pre-pandemic. We're going to start going back. We're going to do Chicago in 25. We're going to go back up to Seattle and hit a lot of other places that we haven't been in a while. So we're going to move around a lot in 25.
You mentioned Africa. I've been hearing a lot about the growth opportunities in Africa. Are the venues suitable? Do you have enough good venues to host matches in Africa in your mind?
It's a great question. Yeah. That is the problem as we travel around and start doing these things. I love arenas because at the end of the day, one of the things that I always like to do is on Saturday night, whether you came to my event, bought tickets, flew in, or you stayed home and watched it on pay-per-view, I want people to walk away with a good experience and not feeling like they wasted their Saturday night. So I don't do outdoor venues because you can, there's so many different things from the weather, and it can be rain, wind, hot, cold, humidity, whatever it is, bugs. I mean, there's so many different things that can affect your event, like a fight, Right. Soccer games and football games, that stuff doesn't matter, but fights are very different. And I just like the feel of an arena. I feel like everybody has a good seat, everybody can see well, and there's just a great energy in it. But as you start to travel around the world, soccer is massive, and they have these huge stadiums, and a lot of them are outdoors. So the long-winded answer to your question is no, and I'm trying to figure that part out right now.
No, well, you're not alone in that. A couple questions from the audience I want to get right to. One is piggybacking off your comment, Dana. What is your formula for building superstars in the sport? What is the formula?
Well, the first thing that we do is, I have a lot of grassroots. We get out there and we find young up-and-coming talent. I have a show on ESPN called the Contender Series. And, most of our talent, like this right to the right of me here is our board where we do all the matchmaking.
Right.
Most of this board, there's little blue boxes next to them. That means they came off the Contender Series. Red boxes means they came off the Ultimate Fighter. Most of the board is blue now. So a lot of our talent is coming off the Contender Series. I'm also flying out to Korea here in the next couple of weeks. The Korean Zombie, one of our fighters who retired, just started his own MMA organization, and I do this show called Dana White Looking for a Fight, where I go out and travel and look for fighters, and I'm going to his show. So I'm always on the road, always coming up with new ideas to see fighters. Now, when you see these young up-and-coming guys, like in the Contender Series, the best fight the best unsigned guys, they come in, they show us what they got, and then we sign them to deals, and we slowly start to build these guys up over the years. We've done a really good job at cultivating talent here. Also, opening up these performance institutes. We have one in Vegas now. We got one in Mexico, and we have another one in China. And, we create a lot of good talent there, too.
So is there anything you can't teach a young talent? You can't teach them charisma. You can't teach them stage presence. You can't teach them humor. Is there anything you can't teach them?
I don't care about any of that stuff.
Okay.
As long as you could be a deaf mute, okay? As long as you're a great fighter, nobody cares. Nobody's there to see people give speeches and talk. They're there to see people fight. They want to know who the best in the world is. But if you end up with a guy like a Conor McGregor or a Ronda Rousey or some of these people that have these great personalities, that's just, it's a home run. And some of those people are what I call unicorns, and they pop up every once in a while.
The deal with TKO Group and how you've been a driver in the performance of that company, how have you benefited from being part of the TKO Group? And a lot of questions here of how are you benefiting with synergies with the WWE and TKO Group?
Yeah, since we kicked off the whole TKO thing, it's been great. I mean, the synergies are basically between I'd say more of the sponsorship and production, how we figured out with both companies to streamline some of the expenses that we had when we were separate. And I mean, you can see the stock in the last like 3 days has gone up like $10 or $11. So it's on fire right now, but it's been a great experience. I wasn't very excited about going into a public company. It doesn't, it doesn't seem very fun to me, but it's been all right. I do what I do. They do what they do over at the WWE, and then Ari does his thing. So it's actually been really good. And we have a good working relationship between us and the WWE, which we did not have before TKO.
And WWE, of course, with Raw is starting in January on Netflix. Could you see yourself learning from that deal or trying to replicate something like that deal?
Well, I think as we go into our negotiations in 25, this thing could play out a lot of different ways. Obviously, we could be with Disney and ESPN, for however many years, or you could see all of our content get chopped up and like WWE and NFL does, and different products going to different networks. So I don't know how that's going to play out as we get closer to getting into these negotiations, but it is a possibility.
Couple questions here, Dana, on your fan base. Similar to this, it goes, what are the current demographics of your audience that would surprise us, i.e. male-female split, any audience you want to see an increase in, just besides more fans, but any segment of an audience?
Yeah, obviously our fan base is very, very male, 18 to 34, but we're getting into this gap now where when we bought this thing in 2001. So a lot of the fan base was my age. So we've done a great job while we got older at bringing in the younger demo. And, I'm very big into social media, and I've created a lot of alliances with a lot of these young influencers. And through that, it has definitely kept our fan base the youngest in all of sports.
When you and I chatted, and I forget when that was, maybe April or something, but you talked a little bit about if you were to start a new sport today, a new sport from the ground up like you've little did with Power Slap, what are the attributes that you would look for?
Yeah, I mean, I literally just did it in 23 with Power Slap. So I saw this thing. I am very heavily invested in social media and YouTube. I mean, any of these young people right now, they're all watching YouTube. They don't watch traditional television the way that you and I did when we were growing up. And I noticed that, I feel like the two most hated people right now on the planet are politicians and the media. Nobody trusts the media anymore. The media does not have the influence that it had 15 years ago. These young influencers do. And Power Slap was literally built on social media and on the internet. And, when you think about it, it hasn't even been 2 full years yet, right? And we have over 20 million followers on Power Slap, right? 9.6 billion views in less than 2 years, 22 months. When we go up against any of the sports out there, including the Super Bowl, we beat them on social media. And just for the record, our rights are up right now too. Power Slap's rights are up in January, so we'll be out looking to do new deals with Power Slap too. But I saw this stuff on like in 2018. It was coming out of Poland and Russia, and I was like, "This is crazy." But what was fascinating about it is I wanted to see who would win the fight, so I watched this thing play out. So I took a deeper dive into it and started looking at it, and they look like they filmed it on a flip phone. Production was terrible. They're literally slapping over a barrel. And it had 450 million views on YouTube. I said, what would happen if I did this, turned it into a real sport and did it the right way? The answer is 10 billion views. That's the answer.
What do you value Power Slap at right now in terms of what do you think it's valued at?
Well, it's going to do 25 million in EBITDA this year. And then when we re-up our rights next year, it's probably an $850 million business in 22 months.
And just to be clear, when Dana White talks about not the media not having any influence or respect, he means other media besides Sports Business Journal. I just want to say that.
Well, I'm here. I was in New York yesterday. Somebody that I love very much messed up the dates and thought it was Tuesday instead of Wednesday. And Sports Business Journal is the only only people that I would do this for, and the only people I talk to about the business of sports.
Well, I appreciate that. I didn't even set that up, but I did.
These are facts.
I did kind of. Now, I do want to ask, boxing. Are you interested? You said you could maybe do something in boxing, but you want it to be from the bottom up.
Yeah. So, there's no secret that I'm in talks with boxing right now. Hopefully, if this happens, we'd have a deal done and announced in January or February. But yeah, I'm interested. Obviously, boxing is so messed up. It took Saudi money to make some of these fights that people wanted to see and to sort of get the sport moving again.
And you think you can move it again, but you said you almost have to level it to the ground to start it from the bottom.
I don't know. But yes, I think you knock the whole thing down and you rebuild it from the ground up, just like we did the UFC. I mean, when we bought the UFC in 2001, we had like 13 contracts, an old wooden octagon. No, this thing wasn't even on television. It wasn't allowed on pay-per-view. So you literally had to build the thing from the ground up and start all over. And yes, I think that's what you have to do with boxing. I'm also getting involved in grappling and jiu-jitsu. And we're literally launching a reality show and then gonna start putting on shows. TKO umbrella will have everything combat sports under it by the end of 25.
And combat sports is seeing growth around the world, so that's the bet. That's the doubling down on combat sports with TKO Group.
100%. I mean, listen, if you look at what happened with Slap and how everybody was negative on it, and it's the most successful thing I've ever been a part of in such a short amount of time. People love combat sports, and like I said, not everybody has some world.
We're losing it. Do we got him? We got you back? Hold on. Give us 1 second.
Yeah,
Are you back?
I got you.
All right.
Yeah, I think we're back.
Okay. I forget I lost my train of thought too, but you're talking about everything that. Let's really quickly move on. One of the conversations came up, piracy. Do you think piracy is still a huge issue in your business, Dana?
Yeah, piracy is a huge issue. It's one of the things that we spend probably the most money on.
Hold on. Give us 1 second. I'm sorry, everybody. As we talk about piracy. What do we got, Laura? Give us 1 minute. Trust us, everyone. We got to. I see him here. There he is. He's back. Can we hear you? Not hearing him.
Can you hear me?
There we go.
1, 2,
awesome.
3. I'm back.
Thank you. Thank you for sticking through. You were talking about piracy. Big issue for you.
Huge issue for us. We spend the most money probably fighting that and have for many, many years. It's always going to be a problem. It's something that's never going to go away. And it's just something you always got to battle.
Do you want to be part of an NBA ownership team in Vegas?
No.
Do you want to, can Vegas sustain another sports arena? Because there's like 2 or 3 different ideas for arenas in Vegas.
Yes. Vegas has become an unbelievable sports town. It makes all the sense in the world. If you're going to an away game for any sport that you love, you're going to Vegas. The problem is with Vegas, what Vegas needs to figure out is the airport. Everything here is growing and getting bigger, but the airport isn't. That's the biggest problem. You literally right now, if you're coming in for Formula One's here this weekend, right? If you're flying in private, you have to get a slot to get in here into Vegas. It's insane. That's the only problem they're going to have. You can bring every baseball, basketball. They're going to have ping pong here pretty soon. I mean, every sport on the planet's coming to Vegas.
And it
makes sense.
And you're doing a major renovation or addition to your venue, which you showed me. The campus that they have at UFC is very, very impressive.
Yeah, we're doing like a $30 million renovation of the Apex. To obviously make it bigger capacity, and Listen, the Apex is one of the greatest things we've ever done. Building that, it's been a game changer for us.
We had an event there. If you haven't gone to do yourself a favor and see the Apex in Vegas. A lot of questions here from the audience. Here's some.
I love it. I love it.
Here you go. Even though you have many years left, can the UFC still grow at the same rate without Dana White?
Yeah, we've built a business that will go on with or without me. The only thing with having me here is it would just be different. It would be somebody else's vision. I run the UFC top to bottom, so yes, it will go on and live forever. It will just be different.
What is the one wish you still have for your sport, for the UFC, even though it's been so successful?
One wish I have for my sport. I don't know. I mean, everything has gone as good as you could expect it to go. We believe that this thing would work all over the world. We continue to find talent everywhere. Young people are training in mixed martial arts. When we were growing up, your parents would put you in karate or taekwondo. This is the martial art that men and women and children are taking all over the world. So it's just going to continue to get bigger. I mean, I don't even know how much more I could ask. I want PIs everywhere. I would love to have PIs set up all over the world to continue to train fighters and take the whole thing to another. We're always reinvesting in the sport.
Biggest upset in UFC history was what? Nate Diaz over Conor McGregor?
If I had to pick one, I'd probably say Juliana Pena when she, Yeah. Juliana Pena when she beat Amanda Nunes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would be it. And then when you and I chatted, you were kind of going through a little, I won't say like just a different lifestyle change, Dana. You found yourself changing diet, changing exercise. Talk a little bit about that and how it's kind of revitalized your approach.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Anybody out there who's 50 plus, when you hit 50, the wheels come off the bus. It's like when your car hits 50,000 miles. It's like, should I just get a new car or should I get this stuff fixed? That's what my life was starting to feel like. Met this guy, Gary Brecka. Once you hit your 50s, the party's over. You gotta change your whole lifestyle and start taking care of yourself if you want to continue to perform at the level you performed in your 30s and 40s. And I did that, and I literally can't take enough stuff on now. I keep piling more and more on my plate, and I feel better than I've ever felt in my whole life. You have to change your lifestyle, and you have to get healthy when you start to get older.
You had told me that you used to badge of honor not to sleep but now you realize how important sleep, rest, diet, all those things have become.
Yeah, diet, exercise, and doing all these other things. I mean, it's a lot deeper than that. This guy got me off all doctor's medicines. I'm only on supplements now. I was on doctor's medicines that I didn't need to be on. So it's much deeper than that. Yeah, but I still don't sleep much. Sleep is still a problem.
I bet. You told my colleague Adam Stern you have no political aspirations. You will not be part of a Trump administration. Is that true?
That is a fact. I'm in the fight business, which is the dirtiest, nastiest business. We all hate each other, and we're all fighting every day. There's nothing dirtier than politics. It's disgusting. It's gross. And I want nothing to do with it.
Okay, that sounds like it's pretty adamant. When the UFC was just starting and everything was an uphill battle, what kept Dana White going forward and fighting?
That's just me. That's what I do. Whether it was building the UFC, power slap, going through COVID, whatever it is, any challenges that come along, I love that stuff. I love people saying that something can't be done. I like people saying you can't do this, you can't do that. I love to do what people think can't be done. And luckily, I've built a team around me that feels the same exact way. I got the best team in business, never mind sports. I say it all the time. My team are a bunch of killers. I love it.
That segues well to this one, Dana. I would love to work at the UFC. What is Dana looking for in people that want to work for him?
I want people that are passionate about what they do. I don't want people to come here and have like, this is my 9-to-5 job. It's okay. And, I hate to go to work. We have a really, first of all, you said it earlier. The campus here is incredible. It's an amazing place to work. We have a great time. Every Saturday there's an event. We travel all over the world and we work really hard, but we love what we do and we love the people we're doing with. So it really is, I saw some CEO recently saying that, oh, any guy that you work for that tells you your family, it's not true. You're just a number. No, you're not just a number here. We are family and we all take care of each other. And I've been saying this to my team for like 20 years. And then when COVID hit, the universe gave me the opportunity to prove it. So we've never been tighter than we are right now.
Love. And last one here, Dana, from me. I love this quote. You said the older generation never gets the younger generation. We got a lot of, I'm not going to be disparaging here, but we've got a lot of older people in this room, me included. How can we do better understanding the younger generation in your mind?
Well, if you look at throughout history, I say it all the time too about the younger generation right now. We don't understand them. Oh, it wasn't like this when we were younger. It was better. It was this, that. The world is always going to change. It's going to keep changing, and things are always going to be different. And it's not going to be the same as it was when we were growing up. And you have to remember that. And you have to, for instance, I said it earlier, but I'll tell you again. If you are in business, any type of business, I don't care what it is, and you're not on social media, you're out of your mind. Everything is headed to social media. That's the future of everything, and the internet. The way we grew up with cable television, and it's all going away. And you have to embrace it. And, there's obviously a lot of negative things about the internet and social media, but there's way more positive. And it will do wonders for your business if you dive in and start to really figure out how to use social media to your advantage.
Well, we thank you for joining us today. We got know a lot is on your plate. Best of luck in 2025. We'll see you down the road. Give it up for Dana White, everybody.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it, guys.
All right, see y'all.
I owe you one too, Abe. I owe you one. I'll be at the next one.
All good. We got you. Thank you. Thanks, Dana.